Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Anti-Gravity Group podcast. My name is Braden Carlson.
I'm Taylor Jesse.
And my name is Shane, or as you might know me, Postart.
And today we are talking about our winter projects, the Rocketry stuff that we've got going on. Typically it's the off season, but now that we live here in Southern California, me and Shane, that is, it's kind of always rocket flying season. So that's rough. It takes away excuses for me, which is a bit of a problem. But yeah, so I figured it'd be fun to just dive into what we're all working on this winter and sort of long-term projects that are supposed to be flying this spring. We'll see. But I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet. So I'm going to send it over to Taylor and you can get this party started.
The elephant in the room, huh?
Yeah, what do you got? You got any cool, I don't know, like two-stage projects?
Who would have a 1/5 scale of something sitting around partially built for 2 years? Possibly me. I may or may not be trying to finish the 1/5 scale Nike Hercules 2-stage, but I've just been roadblocked for so long on that thing but winter is coming up and I still live in Kansas City, so I do have excuses to not fly rockets, which means I should probably build some.
Right, that takes away your excuses for not building rockets. And you work in construction, so you don't even have the I have to go to work excuse. So let's get through this. It's rocket therapy time. What's the hang up with the old Nike Hercules?
Well, the first hang up, which I'm mostly over now, because, eventually it just grinds you down so long that you have to get past it. But I wanted to make it fully scale with the scaled airfoiled fins. That's why I originally built the foam cutter, even though we used it first on the big Punisher. The sustainer fins are like 3 feet long, and the rocket's like 5 feet long, which is ridiculous. And being a 1/5 scale, try to do scale fins, like the fin, there's just not a lot of thickness there to try to get that airfoiled profile with the techniques I'm trying to use to do that. And I'm going to surface mount the fins because through the wall is kind of a nightmare, at least the way I'm building it. So, I guess it's all kind of a nightmare, but you got to pick your battles. So I think I'm to the point now, after messing with the fins long enough, that I may not do the airfoiled fins on the sustainer, but I will do them on the booster.
I have to say, too, that I'm like bummed that you haven't gotten very far on that thing, because the tail cone you made is so sick. It's so well executed. People need to see that.
And what's funny is I came right out of the gate with the big tail cone, and I was so pumped because I didn't know if that was going to work the way I did it, and it turned out way, way too nice. And I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. Now I just have to put the fins on.
Yeah, I better not touch it for 5 months.
That turned into an absolute disaster. And so then I put the sustainer aside and started working on the booster, which went well until I got to the point where I needed to mess with the the coupler, like the interstage transition thing, which is a really weird shape on that rocket. So I'm still figuring that out. Originally, I was going to have basically 2 really strange shaped rings and kind of use like paper and fiberglass. But it would be a lot easier if I 3D printed something as a mold. So I may do that. The problem is I don't have a 3D printer. So it means, going to my buddy Joe or buying a 3D printer.
You could have one. I could sell you one cheap, and it would give me all the excuse I need to buy the K1 Max, which I want really bad.
I mean, it's not off the table yet, but I think I'm going to try to do it the really sketchy way first.
All right, well, is that the only thing you got going? Or, should we include repair projects? You want to talk about your banana incident?
Well, we can't talk about that, but the other thing that I have, that I for sure want to build, which probably means it won't happen, is the Mad Cow bow mark.
How could that not happen? It's a kit. You have everything you need.
I know, but it's like a real kit. This is the first kit where I'm going to have to read the instructions.
Oh, my God.
There's
That
like
was
balsa parts that require shaping. I mean, it's like a whole thing.
that
So
was me with the
I haven't
Saturn
built any
V.
kit. Yeah, I haven't built any kits with balsa or anything in a long time. So I don't think it'll be that hard, but like, I don't know. There's a lot of pieces when I look at the bag, so it's scary. That's why it just keeps sitting there. But it would be a sick G motor rocket to have, so I do want to build it. So
Yeah, the Saturn V was like, I was like, yeah, it's all intuitive. There's just some transitions and stuff. And I opened the box and I was like, oh no, Eric, please help me. Eric Hamburg, for those who aren't familiar, he, as far as I know, did all of the instructions on that rocket, but he also made the fiberglass components for it. But yeah, it's kind of a different breed of kits, like the Beaumark or something like the
kind of a modeler's kit.
yeah, the Wildman Andromeda, the upscale Andromeda, nightmare fuel for someone with my patience level. But at the same time, I kind of want one. Which would you want to tell
you said
people
you were
about?
into it.
Yeah, I kind of am. It's weird because I don't like those Estes like sci-fi kits when they're small, but when they're big, suddenly it's awesome. Do you want to talk about the mini mag incident and how that might have to be a winter repair?
I was gonna bring that one up.
Yeah, that's actually going to be it might be an easy repair, but for those that don't know, I ended up going to Midwest Power. Well, first I canceled going to Midwest Power, and then everyone blew up my phone and was telling me I have to go to Midwest Power.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And,
Wildman Tim had me call Taylor so that he could bully him into coming.
And the whole reason I wasn't going is because I was trying to get my rally car ready for a rally that was this past weekend. And then basically I hit a wall where I was like, it's not getting better. And I don't want to miss fun with Rocket friends and fun in race cars. So I was like, we'll choose one over the other. And I drove to Midwest Power the next morning. And then when I got to Tim's house, everyone was like, whoa, you actually came. I'm like, well, yeah, it's only 5 hours. Like, it's not that unreasonable. But anyway, I did bring a couple simple motor deploy rockets, and I was having a perfectly decent time not flying rockets, just hanging out. Of course, Tim, the weather turned out, like, the weather wasn't super great, but then it turned pretty nice Saturday afternoon, and a bunch of people flew rockets, and there was kind of a lull, and Tim saw me standing there and was like, Taylor, what you told me you brought a rocket, go fly a rocket. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go fly a rocket. And so because I already had a motor, I had a mini mag and an H550, which is a beautiful combo, one of my favorites. So I got that ready, put it on the launch pad, and it took the rail with it. But the H550, normally it probably wouldn't have made it very far off the pad. But with the H550, it went about 250 feet with all that thrust and then dropped the rail. Luckily, the rail landed in the...
Like in the field.
Like in the the range side of the... Like where the launch pads were.
Right,
And
not where
those,
people or cars were.
Yeah.
Importantly.
And then the rocket just made it over... It actually almost went high enough it could deploy the chute, but because it didn't reach the altitude it needed to, the delay was too long. If I had an altimeter, it would have been fine. But anyway, the rocket made it over where the cars were, luckily, and came in without a chute. And then, but it had rained a whole bunch, so the ground was super soft. So anyway, at the end of it all, the damage wasn't as bad as I thought it would. I was surprised when I went and got the rocket. Basically, it kind of just pushed the nose cone into the body tube and it opened it up a little bit. So everything else is undamaged. Nose cone's undamaged. The fins, actually, just the top, I don't know, 5 or 6 inches of the body tube is crushed. So I just need to cut that off. 2 options: cut that off, add a coupler, and a little bit of new body tube, or it actually just kind of opened it all up. It didn't actually like just completely destroy any of it. So there's a part of me that wants to like try to super glue it all back together and then like fiberglass it, because it kind of peeled a whole layer of cardboard from the inside, which leaves a good area to like glass it.
Yeah, you could basically just roll an inserted tube. Not like make it first, but yeah, the balloon trick would be perfect for that.
It would, yeah.
As long as you
but it
keep
would
the
be a lot.
shape on the outside.
It would, yeah, I know. I'm worried it's gonna look mashed potatoes, so I could just buy a 5.5-inch tube. As we're talking about projects, another project that could potentially happen this winter. I don't know for sure, but for first part of that project would be to try to make a 5.5-inch mosquito / fat boy nose cone. Elliptical Estes type nose cone. And so if I can get some of those pulled out of the mold I have, I'm gonna make us each a 5.5-inch mosquito kit.
Bringing back the polecat skeeter for those OG Rocketeers that are around long enough to remember polecat. I wanted one of those so bad when I was a kid. I was convinced it would survive a K185 with the stock fins. There's no way I would try that now.
Yeah. We could drag race with like J90s.
Yeah, J90s would be okay.
Yeah.
We might just have to glass fins. It'd be kind of fun to do like plywood core foam. So
Yeah.
the proper thickness.
You could
glass.
really just do, I think you could just do straight foam.
You really could, and then you could even like shape them properly, like the original Estes Mosquito instructions tell you to do.
Wouldn't scale fins be like 1/2 inch?
Let's see. 16th inch, and it's roughly 12 times upscale. Because the body tube's half.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it'd be 3/4 inch.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's dummy thick. Wait, is that correct?
I don't think.
Let's see.
Yeah, because the
Yeah, it would.
16th originally 12 times upscale, 12
3/4 inch.
16ths.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, but it's the body tube, I think, is 0.56, right?
Mm-hmm. So I guess it's like a 10 times upscale.
Just under, yeah. So 0.6 inch
So
fins.
5/8,
Like-
roughly.
Yeah.
Yeah, just under 5/8. So if you did 1/2 inch foam with, you could skin it or just put a bunch of glass on it. That'd be pretty close. I mean, we're nitpicking if you're like 1/2 inch is still gonna look pretty good on a 5.5-inch rocket.
And then we need 1 1/4 inch launch lugs.
Is that what fits over the rail?
Oh, it probably would fit over the rail, but that's the proper size. I think a 38
it is?
millimeter tube will just slide over a 1 inch rail. Though.
Yeah.
So I
The
mean,
gist of this whole thing is that Taylor needs to try and pull some nose cones out of the mold so we can have big mosquitoes.
yeah, you got to get like mold release wax and stuff.
Yeah.
You got to do the whole 9. All right, well,
I think that's all I really need is I need to wax it.
yeah, apparently it's like an insane amount of wax is required. We were told whatever you
really?
think is the right amount is probably half what you need.
Good to know.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's the better your mold, the less wax is required. I think it's probably a rule. I don't.
yeah,
Sure,
that's probably correct.
That's the feeling I'm getting. But that means I need to use a lot because my mold's not very good.
Are you gonna do them Scott Glass style, no gel coat?
That's right.
Hell yeah.
Well, that's how I'm gonna try it first. If it doesn't work, I may go with some gel coat because I do think that might make it easier. But
Yeah, I feel like that's a leaning layer. You could get away with a little more nonsense with the gel coat on there.
yeah, especially if you go a little thick with the gel coat.
Right. All right, well, does that pretty much wrap up your winter projects then?
Yeah, that's already more than realistically I'm gonna get to by the time April rolls around.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, well, in that case, I'm going to kick it over to Postart, who really only has one winter project.
I mean, no.
Oh,
Well, maybe.
well,
I guess it all
elaborate.
depends on it depends on what all I can afford realistically. But the main one is my level 3 project. I bought a 5-inch Punisher a little over a year ago now, I guess, from Tim. And So I have the kit for it. I have the motor. But I just need to build it because I want 3 stripes on my Airfest badge next year. That's really it, to be honest.
Well, tell people the details. What motor? What electronics? What you got going on?
M1550. I'm a really big redline guy. My level 1 was an i600. My level 2 was a J420. Yeah, I really like redline stuff. But RC2 Plus and Stratologger CF for put some gold in there because it works.
I know the mine's running dry. I only have like 2 unopened ones left. I can't be risking it all like this anymore.
I keep coming across more of them. Like I bought a bunch in the last 6 months, so I think I have 4 unopened ones.
I bought 3 when they were in stock. I bought 2 and then they became in stock again like a week later. I bought 1 more, but it was on the Arcus, so it's in a hole in the ground now. I think I have 2 currently in Rockets and then 2 unopened ones. Yeah, but those things are getting hard to find again, so hopefully they come back in stock. The problem is if they do, I don't need to buy them. I don't really have the money to just keep buying altimeters every time they come up, but I probably
That's
will.
how I was. That's how I was the last time they came up, but I just, I was like, future me is going to be happy that I did this.
Right, yeah. You're like,
but
you know
I
what?
definitely don't need them. That's why they're sitting on my counter still.
Yeah, mine are still in the box that they came in. But someday, I'll be like, yes, now that I've destroyed all of my other Stratologgers, I need more. Or I kind of just want to take all the electronics that I have and put them all on sleds, evenly divided for my now 2 sizes of sled that are universal among all of my rockets, and just have a bunch on deck.
Yeah, I guess something I would like to do this winter that wouldn't be that hard to do is really sort out where all my electronics are, because sometimes they just get lost in rockets.
Dude, I know. We came home the other day and there was wire sticking out of the Honest John, and I was like, wait, is there electronics in that? And I twisted one and it started beeping, and I was like, how many altimeters do I own?
Yeah, the old wow, I did not know there was electronics in here. When's the last time I flew this rocket? And then there'll be times where I am I go to fly a rocket that doesn't have any altimeters in it, and I go on this big mission, and it appears that I have 0 altimeters, even though I have a lot, right? And I'm like, where did they all go? Because sometimes post-launch me thinks I'm really doing something by taking my altimeters out and putting them in somewhere that's not in a rocket, because I'm like, I won't have this problem of searching for them if I do that. But then I think they're in a rocket, and I put them in a dumb spot that's like a box that I think I'm going to look in, but I don't. And so then I'm on this weird mission to find altimeters, and they're just in weird spots. So
that's when I couldn't find my RRC3 forever, and then I remembered it was sitting on your workbench 1,000 miles away. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. And then you just kept leaving it.
Yeah, I didn't have that altimeter in my possession for a year.
I'm like, that's on my workbench still, right? You're like,
yeah, I'll get to it. All right, well, what's your other projects for the winter then, Postart?
Yeah. For one, I still have a 4-inch Little John that I need to build. I want to do similar to what Braden did, make it dual deploy, and mine doesn't have a 54, it has a 38, so I need to change that. I'm changing it.
Does yours have quarter ply fins?
Yeah.
Are you gonna glass them, make them relentlessly beefy like I did?
Yeah.
Nice. And then together our 2 Little Johns will still weigh less than Taylor's.
Yeah.
I hate that thing.
I feel like you really loved it until you felt how light mine was, and I should have just done a cardboard one.
Well, I was super pumped on it until there's a few things I did wrong, but I limited my I built it specifically to fly on like 2 and 3 grain 54s, but it's so heavy. Like, I don't know that I would want to put a J275 in it if there was any wind. It's
Right.
just like full of lead. So it is cool, but like, I don't know. It's the heaviest, it's the densest rocket I own for sure.
What
so
motor
it kind of
did you-
just defeats,
What motor did you fly that on an LDRS again?
a J365.
Oh,
BMW
right.
skid
Not the J230. You do have that case though, right?
Yeah.
The 2 grain one?
I do, yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's a 3 grain.
Oh, yeah, it is. The 1050,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
Well, I have a bunch of motors for it now, so, you know.
I know. But I'm kind of over the J230s, so, or just 54 skid marks or Sparkies.
Wow, fine. No K555s for you then, I guess.
I mean, I would fly one of those.
Oh, I see. I see.
In fact, I have one of yours at my house.
Yeah, you do.
That's true.
Do you not want that case anymore is the question. We can get back to this after the podcast, but
Which case?
the 3 grain.
No, I'm keeping all that stuff.
Can I borrow it?
Why?
Because I don't have the case, but I have 10 motors for it.
Oh, so you want to fly some of the J230s?
Yeah, maybe a couple.
But you can't fly them in California, right?
Nope. But just take them to Gene or an Argonia. But anyway, sorry, we took another little detour away from Postard's projects. But anyway, I bought a bunch of AMW motors, which will come up down the road at some point. But anyway, back to you, Postard.
Another that I probably won't be able to get to is the idea for a 7.5 inch Little John, because Braden has a 7.5 inch Honest John with a 75 and 438s. So I wanted to do with the Little John with a 75 and 438s as well. Plus it would be like my first big rocket, at least by myself. But
Well, you have the tubes too. You just need a coupler and wood.
yeah.
Well,
And
also a
someone
nose
has
cone.
offered to cut them for me.
I have the nose cone.
Oh, lock?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
LOC, baby. It's a little
Isn't that-
short, but it's
It's
like
a little short.
the glass one's a little long. So
Yeah.
Is it?
you get what
I
you
thought
get.
they were 4-1.
I think it's a little over. I don't know.
Mhm.
I have one of those too, but you can't have it.
You have a 4-1?
Yeah, for the Iris.
I thought you got rid of it.
No, I still have it.
Oh,
It's a carbon fiber one.
yeah. Damn.
Yeah, I got
I say as if I don't have that behind me.
right. Well, it would be nice to have two, but till one of us concedes, it's not going to happen, right? Although, I guess we could just ask Eric to
Yeah,
make
well-
this one.
What I really need is a 6-inch 4-1,
Me too.
which I also have, but it's for my Herc. So,
I mean, we were invited to come to the Lock
I know.
Precision facility and give it a shot ourselves.
sounds like a good time.
I know, I really want to.
Yeah.
So
Steal
yeah,
Miranda.
like the donation link is in the description of all the YouTube videos if you want to see a tour of the Lock Precision's factory and public missiles. But yeah, the 7.5 inch Little John would be super, super cool because it's like pretty big and impressive. What's funny is it's like almost the same height as the Honest John. It's only 19 inches shorter or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
But so it'd be pretty cool to just have those on deck, transport both of them to a rocket launch somehow, rent a vehicle to do so, because even one won't probably fit in the Fiesta. The Little John might, but Rockstock is coming up this weekend, and I wanted to fly my Honest John on an L1256. And right now, the big pressing issue with that is how I would even get it there, because it doesn't really fit in the Fiesta that great.
You need a roof rack.
I know, I have a roof basket too for my Volvo, and I think it's here. I think my dad brought it when we moved down here, so I could just like strap rockets to the roof of the Fiesta and it would be awesome, especially since Lucerne's so close to me now. It's only like 40 minutes. So it wouldn't be that treacherous to strap a rocket to the roof and travel with it.
The thing I love about the big Sumo is the booster is like 44 inches, so it's small car safe except for the ginormous fins.
See, that's why I need to fix my paper iris, and I guess that kind of delves into my turn to talk about winter projects. As usual, I have far too many, and in trying to do all of them, we'll probably get none of them done, but I'm going to give it my best shot. The iris, because it breaks down into 34-inch sections, you can put that whole rocket in my car and still have one of the passenger seats in the back folded up. So I could have two people in there with a whole 12-foot iris. And that's one of my favorite pictures is the iris assembled sitting on top of the Fiesta. Someone was like, how did you get that there? And I was like, with this car. It's awesome. So anyway, one of the priority things is to fix that thing because I want to fly it again. It's really big and impressive, but it's also stupid light. Its one and only flight was on a motor deploy K850. Shout out to our friends at Lock Precision PML for making that flight happen. Not only did they buy me the motor, they gave me the rocket. So I didn't have to pay for anything except gas to get to that rocket launch and home for that thing to fly. And I had no intention of flying it. So they actually started ripping kits apart that were for sale from the late, great Gloria Robinson and just like inventorying parts that they were going to have to send to her so we could make this rocket fly. And in traditional iris on a big flat lake bed fashion, it broke one of the fins off on landing, which is what my fiberglass one did at Bonneville. And so fortunately with this one, it was a pretty clean break and it just kind of ripped a layer of the cardboard off. So I can just belt sand all the epoxy off the fin and should be able to just glue it back together, put new fillets in it and kind of match up the paint as close as I feel like getting it. And it should be ready to go from there, which shouldn't be too bad. But I have a couple motors that I'd really like to put in that thing. Unfortunately, that's not the only winter project I have that's going to require some fin repairs because my 6-inch Dare Red Max at Tripoli, Idaho hit and broke one of the fins off, and that one's going to be a lot more involved. I'm going to have to straight up cut part of the airframe and peel it back so I can squeeze the fin out and then do a bunch of fiberglass work and filling and sanding, which I know you all love to watch. And it'll be a good practice run because then I get to do it again on my 7.5-inch Fat Boy that just broke a fin.
You could probably just make a notch with the Dremel cutoff wheel at the top and bottom of the slot and then just pry it back.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have to cut some of it out so that it bends enough because the internal fillet is still stuck to the fin on both of them.
Well, I know, but you should be able to like just pry it up with brute force.
Yeah, I'm not going to cut like a huge hole. I'm just going to slot it so that it can move enough to get it out. But yeah, so those are the pressing repair issues. And then I have a couple projects.
Fat Boy.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not the only broken fin one.
That's what I just said. I was like, it'll be a good practice run because I have to do it on the Fat Boy as well, the 7.5-inch Fat Boy, because it just happened at Lucerne. As far as projects, yeah, clearly. As far as projects that are unfinished and not just repairs, I have my 5.5-inch BSD Horizon, which I started building and glassed the fins and everything and really just needs like some final assembly and paint. But that all happened right before I moved and it's just kind of been sitting in the closet since we got back. I'd like to get that situated. My Nike Smoke, if you guys are watching the videos, you might have seen that I just built that Polecat 5.5-inch Nike Smoke. I really wanted to fly it at Rockstock this weekend, but I also don't want to try and push through the paint job because I want it to look good. And I know if I rush and get it done this week, there's going to be stuff about it that I don't like that I'll say I'll go back and fix and it'll never happen. So we're not going that route. And What else? Oh, my Nike Tomahawk, my 2-stage project for the winter. I have a 4-inch to 2-inch Nike Tomahawk from a company that produces fiberglass kits that we don't really discuss. But
Dude,
because
Did you see the 5.5-inch one that was on TRF the other day?
yeah, for like $350 or something like that.
Yeah.
Such a good deal. I know.
I'm like, those always come up when I am so broke.
Yeah, because
But I wanted it so bad.
there was that one in Rancho Cucamonga, which is like 45 minutes away from me.
Yeah.
I was like, don't do it. You can't do it. I cannot spend this money. And then I messaged him, and thankfully someone else had bought it already. Otherwise, I would have done it. I'm that reckless. Why not have a 5.5-inch one to go with the 4-inch one? But anyway.
Yeah. But I have that 5.5-inch booster, so there's part of me that's like, I can make a sustainer. But anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
But it would have a 54 booster, which is kind of lame. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm at too, where I'm like, yeah, well, why would I want this? Like, why don't I make the sustainer minimum diameter? And just dumb stuff like this keeps going through my
Of
head.
course, there's also a part of me that's like, staging low is really cool.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is I'm like, this is an all fiberglass kit, so I can be really hardcore with it. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, obviously K700 to J570. What other options are there? I'm just like, that's so relentlessly hardcore for no reason that I could do like a J800 to an I161 and it would still be entertaining. So I also destroyed the Blue Raven that was going to be my staging altimeter, so that's got to get replaced, and the finances aren't looking like that's going to be feasible anytime soon. Because incidentally, one of my winter projects is trying to have a job still. We'll see how that goes over the next few weeks. And
we need that Blue Raven for our 2-stage that's definitely happening at Balls.
Yeah, that's another winter project. What we decided on doing a different motor more recently, K270.
I think I'm back to the K375.
Yeah, I like it too. The end burner was really the only thing that I would have liked over that. But we can use your head end ignition stuff with the K375 and it'd be super cool.
But I was thinking maybe since I'm doing the booster, I thought maybe I would use my booster case, and then we could use your 2560.
I bet you would like that, wouldn't you?
With my closures, see? So we're
right.
sharing. We're sharing my closures on your case.
Yeah, sure. Why not? my unflown Millennium case. But like I've said, I'm going to fly all of them, so sure. But on the agreement that because I paid for the M motor that's boosting it, you have to replace my case if something bad happens. Well, we'll work out the details later.
Okay. I have to replace the case even though I have my custom closures on it.
Yes. That seems pretty fair. I don't... Anyway, another big project I want to situate that I know is not, like, it should be something at the forefront of my mind if I really wanted it to be, like, appropriately celebratory, because I want to fly my YouTube play button in a rocket, but it's going to have to be very, very big. Like, it has to be a 12-inch rocket. And just knowing what a nightmare a 12-inch rocket can be, I'm not exactly like in the biggest rush. However, I did recently acquire an Animal Motorworks M2200 skid mark, and that is one of my all-time like dream motors. And right now, I don't have a rocket that I like think is ferociously heavy enough for that thing. So like a short 12-inch rocket with the play button in it on the M2200 would go pretty hard. So it's not something that's like immediately on my things to do list, but it would be super cool. The other part of me also wants to put that M2200 in the Iris, because that was supposed to be my original level 3 plan, was my glass Iris on an M2200. 11 years ago or something like that. And obviously that never came to be. But now I have one. So I'm like, well, what do I do with this thing? So, yeah, basically way too much stuff that I plan on doing over the winter. We all also have planned projects for NSL in Alamosa that technically should probably also be winter projects, but might turn into spring 2 weeks before the launch type projects.
Yeah. In my head, I'm like, I'll put that together in April. Like,
I mean, they're all minimum diameter too, so we're just like,
yeah,
we'll just slap those together at the last minute. It'll be all right.
That always goes well.
Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, it worked when I did it at Airfest. I think I didn't see the rocket.
The last one I built, last one I built, I did it in a week, and then lost it with a broken shot cord. So,
well, easy come, easy go, I guess.
I want to do another custom one where I make the tube, but then there's also a part of me that's like, what am I gaining? I mean, it's lighter, but
yeah, there's also a project that was kind of laid out for me. I'm not going to talk about it too much yet, but it might require me rolling a tube to accommodate a non-standard size motor case, we'll say.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so I'll tell you about that after the podcast, and as that develops.
I have an idea.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot less hardcore than last time, though. Acceleration wise, not altitude wise.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that later. But yeah, so I might have to make my own tube because I don't think I'm going to be able to find one that's just happens to be the right size unless we went to a aluminum fin can or something like that, which I really don't have any interest in funding. And by interest, I mean ability. So anyway, I think that pretty much wraps it up for the winter projects. Are you guys good?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, I mean that's realistically. One more thing. I dropped the banana off the big shelf in the garage and broke the nose cone or the banana stem, if you will.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring that up because I thought you said we can't talk about that earlier.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, I thought that's what you said when I guess you said we can talk about that, but I thought you said can't. So I was like, whoa, it's some top secret. The Rocket Channel video stuff going on.
No. Yeah.
It's proprietary. Don't ask questions.
Because there's videos definitely happening right now. No, I actually am getting ready to probably make a video this week. But Joe's making me a new banana stem, but his printer's messed up, so we're gonna get it going. But I don't know if it'll be ready for Argonia this weekend.
Oh, that's a bummer. What about
you guys are going to Rockstock this weekend?
Yep.
Yep.
So we're all doing rocket things.
Yeah, I'm mostly just going to be filming and trying to sell some old Aerotech motors, but I do want to take the Hojo because it's already assembled. I just need to put charges and parachute in it, and then hopefully that Cert 3XL is enough to keep those fins attached to that stupid thing on the dry lake bed.
Postart, we want to throw down bets on broken fins?
That one would actually make me so upset. Which is really dumb because as long as I get the nose cone back, I have tubes to build another one. And you know what? A different fin can would be better because I left the motor tube way too long because I was stupid.
That's what I did on my Nike Smoke. When I ordered rebuild parts from Jack, I'm pretty sure he gave me a full-length motor tube, and I wasn't smart enough to realize that, even though it was clearly longer than my old one. So there's like no room for the drogue.
Yeah, I just didn't cut it down. And I was like, yeah, it's a huge rocket. It's fine. And then, yeah, same thing. I've got like 2 inches from the top centering ring to the electronics bay.
So it's really dumb because I'm never flying a motor that long, and then I'm just trying to jam the top section down.
Yeah, it's super awesome. But
we can bet on if the fin breaks, and then we can also bet on how what form of anger Braden will have.
Dude,
will he kick his taillight or will he throw some other rocket stuff?
I'll just throw the rocket. Like, fine, why don't you just break the rest of the fins off? You don't want them, clearly.
He would
I
gently
saw
set
that
the nose cone down first, though.
Yeah. I can't replace
I saw the Rocket Vlogs guy. He was really on one.
He gets completely unhinged. He was like, this place sucks. It just breaks fins off every rocket. Again and again and again. Every fin just snap right off. Rockets are dumb, dude.
This is why I don't fly rockets.
Can't even fly over 7,000 feet here and you just snap every fin off. Why not even show up? All right, well, in that case, let's move on to the old mailbag. I didn't get any emails, so remember, if you want to reach out with a comment or question or whatever else, it's rocketvogs911@gmail.com. But we did get some Patreon input, so we're gonna go over there. And the first one is from Bryce and Nicole. I'm assuming mostly Bryce asks, I need some winter project ideas that are class 1 and can be flown at a local park, our only launch site in the winter. So I feel like Taylor's got some good insight on the class 1 concepts. So a banana is a good one.
Yeah, it is just barely in class 1 territory, though.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's really sliding by on the banana peel there.
I feel like like a 3-inch lock kit is a really good, because like it's kind of big and impressive, but they're still super light.
Yeah, Bryce isn't gonna want to build a lock kit though. Bryce is looking for like a something exotic, I feel like.
Yeah, maybe.
Actually, you know what? Someone back in the day, back when I was a little kid and went to NAR launches, someone flew a rocket they called the Oat Burner on G64s, and it was a Quaker Oats can. And that made a sick rocket because it's super draggy.
I was just about to suggest Pringles.
That's going to be that was going to be my suggestion, is a rocket made, I think it was 2 of them, because they're probably, I don't know, you could do a single stubby one, but yeah, I guess he probably made his own nose cone. I don't know, but yeah, that thing was sick. Didn't go very high at all, and because those cans are pretty fat.
Maybe we should issue him a challenge. Bryce, build a class 1 rocket that you don't pay any money for. You're allowed to use whatever building materials you have, except for rocket components. You gotta start completely fresh. But yeah, I mean, it's so open-ended that the first thing I would go to would be like just a normal 3-inch, like 3 FNC cardboard rocket, or even 4-inch, like the Lock Patriot or something of a similar size is it's 4 inches in diameter, but it's big and impressive, but it's light and you can fly it on a G80.
Yeah.
I guess class 1 you can do H123s.
Mm-hmm.
Regular size sumo.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if Bryce has one, but if he doesn't, he should, to match the giant one.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah, I have a G138 that I think I might take to Rockstock for my sumo this weekend. But
see if you can blister yourself a case.
Yeah, it just seems so extreme for an Aerotech kit to me, even though it is an Aerotech motor that was like pretty ideal for exactly that rocket.
Oh, you're going to put it in the sumo?
Yeah.
I used to fly mine on H's all the time, so.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people have done their level 1s with them, like H220s. They're not H220.
That's what it was built for. Level 1 ready.
Yes,
so
sir.
The back of the magazine said.
Yeah, it didn't have a motor block.
said that too.
That way you could put 29-180 in there.
You can actually put 29-240 too.
Dang. I-200 sumo, anybody?
I don't think you could fit that case in there.
360. Yeah, I guess H97. That's the sumo dream motor right there. Perfect.
Yeah.
One of the
Some
few
nice
blackjack
weathercocking.
motors I like. I think it's just because it's like nostalgic for me. It was my first H motor.
I flew a lot of those in my upscale corkscrew back in the day.
My Ralphco crayon. That was my first hard lesson learned in not over greasing the delay element.
Mine was an H128 in the Sumo. It killed it.
The good news was it
But
was a Ralphco crayon, and it was when they still produced them. So I just saved money and then rode my scooter to Toys R Us to buy a new one for $5. Dude, people pay like $40 for those on eBay now.
Dude, my grandpa would go to Toys R Us. There was a I don't know when this must have been circa 2001 to 2003-ish, if I had to guess, but there was a time where Toys R Us was selling Ralphco crayons for I don't know, $7.
Yeah, they were $5
I
when
don't
I was
know.
buying them.
Okay, so that was probably it. I didn't actually buy them with my own money, so I don't remember. I don't think I even had a crayon rocket. My grandpa bought a ton of them. He got such a I think he caught it. He would just go there and see if they were on sale and try to get them even cheaper and just like stock up on them. And he would just make all of his rockets out of them. Because you know how like the base, you have the nose like the tip part, right, of the crayon, but you had like the back part too.
Yep.
He would use those as like interchangeable motor mounts.
That's okay. So that's kind of what I landed on, because my first one I didn't put the rear piece on at all. But I still have one more, and my dad has one too, that we bought when you could still get them at Toys R Us, and we've had them for like 15 years or something like that. So mine's pink. I need to turn it into a rocket. If you could still get those, that would be the perfect Class 1 field rocket, because those things were dumb light.
You can't though.
No, unless you want to pay a ridiculous amount of money because they're vintage. I'm like, this isn't vintage. They made them until like 2014.
But during that same era, they were selling the blast off flight packs, which for those that don't know I'm sure they still sell it, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
An Estes 24 pack of A8 3s, B6 4s, and C6 3s and 5s.
Yep, they still sell it.
And they sold that. You could get that for $19.95.
Yeah, I don't even know what it costs these days, but probably a lot now.
Probably like $80.
Yeah, probably. I'm looking.
But I remember one time I talked my mom into get me one of those, and me and my buddy from down the street just went through a whole blast off flight pack in my backyard.
You were correct. They are $79.99.
Oh my God.
That is upsetting to think about.
Well, if they were $80, I would not have went through a whole one in a day.
Liquid RC has them for $62, so there's your secret
What a
plug.
deal.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to the next question. Actually, Postart, you answer real quick. Level or Class 1 rocket, what are you doing?
I don't know. Really, I mean, I've always wanted to do a crayon since you had your little one, or since you had yours when I was little, but you can't get them anymore. So really any cardboard 3-inch, 4-inch T-lock maybe. I kind of like those.
I do. I have a 4-inch T-lock. That would be really cool. But actually, for a price specific answer, there's this really cool Mad Cow kit. I don't know if they still make it, but it was like designed for LDRS 29. They're perfect. It's called a Squat. I don't know if he's ever heard of it, but really great for a Class 1 rocket. We're going to move on now. Speaking of Taylor's grandpa, Randall Jesse asks, what do you think of Odd Rocks? I'm considering a huge fish Odd Rock. Dude, I love Odd Rocks. It's probably not going to come together. The person who was offering to help us out, unfortunately can't do it anymore. Shane and I were going to build a snowman that we were going to fly on an L motor at FAR. But it turned out that it was going to cost a lot more money than we thought. And it's like, is it like worth it financially to have this fun project that then is a 3-foot diameter snowman that we just have to deal with afterwards? And it's looking a lot like the answer is no.
We were planning on doing like the bottom ball of the snowman 3 feet in diameter with a styrofoam ball. But the problem is, for that ball alone, it was the cheapest one I found was like $145.
Yeah, so it went from like this will be fun little foam project to like $400 worth of foam and like hours of sanding, and we were just like, no, never mind.
You know,
Yeah.
you could like make your own.
Yeah, well that was the other problem, was that then we would have to somehow cut and sand a 3-foot diameter foam ball. And it was just
Well, okay, hear me out. You know, you go to Walmart and it has like the big cage in the toy section of the big balls.
yes.
So just use one of those and fill it with Home Depot foam.
We talked about that with the exercise
did.
ball. Because they had the
Yeah.
perfect diameter. It would be so heavy.
Yeah, it stuff's pretty dense.
This is L2200 to like 250 feet.
It'd be like that guy that made the that 80-pound Nike Hercules.
Oh yeah. Or the Nike Zeus is completely filled with epoxy. That thing is going to be beefy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, back to Odd Rocks. Big fan. Obviously Taylor's a fan as well. We can safely assume where that came from. The old banana.
A big fish would be kind of funny. It was like a giant, realistic looking fish.
I'm a big fan of the spool and the saucer, but those are almost not Odd Rocks at this point.
Yeah, they're too normalized. It's been done too much.
Yeah, I'm just basic like that. Yeah, we were just at the Coca-Cola World in Las Vegas, and they had giant like branded Coke bottles, but they're plastic, but they're made to look like the green glass bottles. And I really would like to make one of those at Rocket. It'd be super fun.
It'd be kind of cool to do a giant Sputnik.
It'd be really cheap. Unless we wanted a 36-inch diameter ball, then I can tell you that's going to cost more money than we thought.
No, dude. Actually, you know what your answer is for the snowman?
What?
Paper mache.
Yeah, I just wish there was just like a $250 6-foot tall snowman that I could just buy and ram a tube up the middle. We thought about doing it
wouldn't
with
be
the
that hard to do
Santas.
paper mache though. Wait, you just get some of that wire mesh, like chicken wire stuff, and then make something vaguely round, and then
That will not
use
stand
paper
up to
stuff on it.
That won't stand up to an L1256 though.
No,
Yeah,
you'd have to fly down like a J350.
Yeah.
No, dude. Paper mache is strong.
The V2 from Arconia,
Oh, yeah.
the one that came in ballistic.
Yeah, the giant one.
just
The
turned
giant
into
one.
confetti. That thing was
That's because the
crazy.
parachute didn't come out.
I remember walking up to you and I was like, dude, look over there. That rocket looks like it's made out of paper mache. You're like, it is. It is made out of paper mache.
Dude, I don't know what happened to that guy. Like, those rockets were awesome. The chute always there was like a trap door in the side that the parachute would come out of.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the only time I've ever seen him there. Maybe the V2 was the final nail in the coffin. He's like, yeah, I'm not.
Because he used to have maybe like a Mercury also. Something vaguely Mercury shaped.
Mhm.
And like, yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe it was the V2 and like a Mercury thing. But yeah, they were sick. It was like putting it on a regular launch pad, like a 24-inch paper mache rocket.
But long story short, to answer that question, we love Odd Rocks. And we had plans to do a big Odd Rock for Airfest next year. It's probably not going to happen, but
It will happen eventually.
yeah, it's on the back
Yeah.
burner. You'll have to tell your grandpa about that because I think he's gonna like it.
Well, it's going to take a while I'm going to have to show him a picture. He's not
Yeah.
going to know what it is.
Yeah, but okay. So we have 2 questions from Sleepy Sack on Patreon. Will a Jolly Logic? It says cute release. I know what it's supposed to be, but now I'm going to call it a cute release forever. The Jolly Rancher cute release. Yeah. Will it fit in a Wildman Junior 2.1-inch kit? I mean, the device itself will, yeah. It's pretty small. Getting it around a parachute and in that small of a tube, not impossible. it will fit. It just you'll have to take a couple practice runs probably.
Yeah, that could be done. I mean, you get a top flight thin mill or something.
Yeah.
I used to use one of those Aerotech 42-inch silk shoes.
I know the Aerotech shoes rule.
Yeah. I bought another one when I burned my last one up just because I love having those on hand because they pack so tight.
Yeah. And then his next question is, do you prefer building cardboard or fiberglass rockets, and why? And that's interesting because I don't know if I prefer one over the other. I prefer fiberglass if I want the rocket to be done quick and easy. And while in the moment, if I'm fiberglassing a cardboard rocket and doing all the sanding and filling, it gets old really fast, but it is very gratifying once it's done to have put all that effort in for this beautiful finish. And it is usually way, way lighter. But if we're excluding fiberglassing cardboard stuff, I would probably say my preference would be to build fiberglass, but my wallet's preference would be to build cardboard.
Yeah. From a building standpoint, I would say fiberglass for sure, because it's kind of like you don't have to do it just goes together nice, and you don't have to do a lot of finishing.
I do have to say though that I think the art of building cardboard rockets has kind of dissipated, and I'm really grateful that Lock Precision has gained this kind of new Rocketeer cult following, and they have their Facebook group, and there's a lot of people building stuff in there, because there's even reports of taps telling people that they can't do their level 3 with a cardboard rocket.
Yeah,
I'm
which is crazy.
That's all it used to be. Find anybody with a triple E number or NAR number that's really low, that's level 3 certified, and I can almost guarantee they flew a bruiser or something like that, or a 10-inch sonotube rocket that they built for $8 in 1994. It's a dying art form, and fiberglass really kind of has spoiled everybody. So when we started Rocketry, especially Taylor, because he's a few years ahead of me, fiberglass was not affordable for just normal people. You had to be an actual engineer, so you could buy it from Dynacom or Hawk Mountain.
Yeah, there were no sub $500 I mean, maybe really small ones, but yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't.
Stuff was expensive.
I mean, the prices have gone up a little bit, but my 3-inch Punisher, I bought it on sale a few years ago for $99 for a full 3-inch or fiberglass kit that never would have happened back then.
I think my 3-inch was on the initial run that was $89 on sale, and then my 4-inch was, I think, $99, which is insane.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. So yeah, I mean, the mass production of especially Wildman kits kind of was a game changer in how people get started in high power, because a lot of people now start with fiberglass, whereas that wasn't really an option in the past.
Well, and it used to those cheaper fiberglass kits are Tim doesn't like it when I use the word cheap. Affordable. Cheap implies that it's low quality.
Right,
anyway,
right.
We've been through this. Affordable fiberglass kits kind of brought the idea of a builder's kit where it just comes with the components and no recovery or instructions or anything. So,
which I kind of like, because it's a little bit free.
Yeah, you too.
I mean, I can appreciate
when I buy a kit that
Go ahead.
When I buy a kit that has all the stuff in it, I'm like, well, I feel obligated to use all the stuff now, but this isn't how I want to do
it. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a really good example is the SBR kits, and the way that the electronics bays and everything is laid out in the instructions, and it's just something that you're yeah, I mean, it'll work. I don't love this concept, and I didn't build mine that way, but so I do like the freedom, but at the same time, Tim had me make the instructional build video for the Journey 75 because there was no instructions, and it was kind of like something he needed because that kit is designed to get people into rocketry and like get your level 1 cert. So it was kind
Does
of
that come with recovery stuff?
yeah,
That one?
yeah, it does. And it's if you get it with the plastic nose cone, actually, to bounce back to Bryce's question, it is class 1 if you build it light enough. Mine is. And that's even with internal fillets.
I mean, class 1's up to 3.3 pounds, so
Yeah,
you got some.
but that's loaded. Motor, recovery gear, everything.
Is it?
Yeah, the entire rocket has to be 3.3 pounds or under. So the banana's not class 1 then?
No, I think it is, because it's like 2.5 pounds.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. All right, Paul, start glass or cardboard?
I mean, I prefer building glass just because it's easy. It goes together really nice, but cardboard's still cool because you pull it out and it's just like it's a big kit that you would build when you were younger, you know?
Yeah, it is kind of fun to just like have S
I will
components
say,
basically, but huge.
Yeah.
Under 3-inch, I kind of prefer cardboard,
Yeah,
because I'm like, this feels unnecessary.
Yeah.
fiberglass kind of
I would
has a butter zone that's like 4-inch to 6-inch because when you get above that, then it's way too expensive to buy the components.
Yeah, it once again becomes unaffordable.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, even when I bought the stuff for my 7.5-inch Iris when I was 17, I think that was 3 paychecks that I had saved to buy that thing. For the nose cone, the tubes, it was like $1,000 or something like that. And this was what, 11, 12 years ago now. Relentlessly expensive to build a fiberglass rocket that big. And I mean, if you can afford it, more power to you. But we like the 7.5-inch by the phenolic and glass it approach, because it's a lot more affordable. Or if you want to splurge a little bit, get it pre-fiberglass and save yourself the effort. Our boys over there at PML do it nice. The Mylar wrap tubes now.
I'm on a continuous journey of thinking I've found the secret to finishing fiberglass.
Dude, I know you're like, dude, the light glass cloth is the way to go. And I'm like, I'm going to try it. You're like, I'm over it, man. It sucks.
Yeah. And then I'm like, but now I got the best filler. It is totally going to fix it all.
Yeah.
And so now I'm riding that train out, and then we're waiting for that to die, and I'm going to go on to the next thing.
Yeah, honestly,
I'd be the deal.
I've been holding off ordering some because I want to use it for the Nike, but I'm like, I'm just waiting for you to have more problems. But I'm going to have to find them on my own.
Dude, I believe in it. I believe it. Because that saved me on the Sumo and the Arcus. So I believe in it.
Well, it is what it is. All right, well, let's move on. Dylan Bender asks, if you had to do a space shot, how would you do it?
Well, I wouldn't to
Right.
start. But if we're asking,
6-inch to 6-inch 2-stage. For some reason, in my head, it just seems like the easiest way to do it. Because, like, the single-stage rockets that have gone to space, like Gold J
what
Cowboy,
kind of space we talking about? Are we talking
Kármán line,
Yeah.
323,000 to 100 kilometers.
that's how high it is?
Yeah, it's like 323,000 feet.
Boy, that's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, it's pretty high. Space is up there, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah. Woo!
Just a nice, easy, laid back P to O 2-stage. Simple, you know.
I think I would maybe.
You think about the motors. You were there. You saw a rocket go to space.
Yeah.
Think about the
I know.
the motor required for a single stage rocket to go to space.
Well, I don't want to do single stage. I know that.
Because
That's out of the
CSXT
question.
was also, an S motor?
maybe 6-inch to 4-inch.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, because Kip Daggerdas got 293 out of a 4-inch to 3-inch flight, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
He just flew it
But
again,
that's with
actually.
a lot more engineering.
Yeah.
How high did it go?
245 from far.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're using kind of normalish motors.
Right. Yeah, it's like not even that like outlandish of a rocket. He's just optimized it so much that
Mm-hmm.
Also, the fins look like Arcus fins.
Yeah.
So we're back on that.
Yeah, and it's crazy to just like fly the same rocket 3 times every time it went over 100,000 feet at least. Like he coned it super bad on the sustainer, and it still went like 130,000 or something like that. So
I
245.
think it only went like 90 that time.
Oh yeah, well that's super low.
I know.
But just to casually
And
be
we're
flying
like,
that thing. And
I hope we
recovering-
can do 50.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that was sarcasm for people that didn't catch that. 90,000 feet is still crazy. It's insane to be like, well, the sustainer coned a little bit, so it went 200,000 feet lower than last time. Whoops, we'll give it a shot again, and then to just do it and get everything back again is the most chaotic thing I have ever heard of.
I feel like he could have lit it higher. I don't know. I'm really don't have an opinion.
I was gonna
because
say
don't know.
I'm not
But-
touching this one. It seems like
Well, I was just thinking, like, I don't know, if it coned and only got to 90, what altitude did it light? It was a long burn, I think.
yeah, I don't really have any.
But I don't know. That's way out of my realm.
Yeah.
I'm building bananas and stuff.
Yeah, true. Shut your mouth, banana boy.
Zoomies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, pause start. Your space shot.
I was gonna say 6-inch to 4-inch, but
That was Robert
again,
DeHate's thing for a while. The P Blue Baboon to the N4000.
Hmm.
I love that too because the sustainer every year was just phenolic wrapped in carbon fiber. I love that. You could build a rocket so dumb light and for so cheap doing it that way compared to buying a carbon tube, I should say.
Yeah.
I want to do it with a glass, like just glass and a piece of phenolic and a fiberglass nose cone to minimum diameter N. The problem is I already have a minimum diameter N project that I can't afford to fly, so I definitely don't need to add another one. You'll notice that was absent from the winter projects lineup. It's not looking real likely. Okay.
Is there any more questions?
We got one left. Paul Kaplan says,
Yeah, good turnout.
yeah, not bad. Paul Kaplan says, I'd love to hear you all talk about the different niches of rocketry that people have gone down a rabbit hole on. Like I'm very tree averse and have a background in RC, so I'm looking into guided parachute recovery and any other way to make sure my rocks don't end up in trees. I'm really interested to hear about other niches in the hobby. And I think the first one we have to go to, speaking of really high altitude flights, is Jim Jarvis's active stabilization in spin cans. That man is next level. Like,
Yeah.
I've known Jim for a long time because we moved to Texas when I was 14 or 15. But I pestered him long before that because his Carbon Big Daddy made me want to build a Carbon Big Daddy when I was like 12 and had no idea about composites. And he was super cool and just answered all my dumb questions about it. But yeah, he's like the most humble guy, and he'll just talk about these things like it's just the most simple thing that anybody could do, but to just have
Yeah, it's like you could do it too.
right. Yeah, but these spinning fin cans so that the wind doesn't weathercock the rocket and the fins just freely spin around the motor case. And on top of that, having 4 canards that are like actively gimbal stabilizing the rocket. There's a video on his YouTube channel. I'll put the link in the description where he like programmed it to make a big S shape in the sky on a long burn motor. And it is just like one of the craziest things I have ever seen in high powered rocketry. It's so sick. And he actually sells those too. He sells it as like a 4-inch piece of like an electronics bay with the canards for, you can just buy it. We should, when we eventually do tailor our imaginary N2000 M685, we should have one on the booster. Dude, we could do an N1000 if we had that. Really get that.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so. As long as it was light enough. Yeah, I don't know what other niches are there. There is another guy who was doing active stabilization for a while. Do you remember George Gasaway? Maybe
Yeah.
he had like a photon receptor in the nose tip, so the rocket would always fly towards the sun.
Oh, yeah. I kind of forgot about that.
It was pretty wild.
Who's the guy that builds giant gliders? That's sort of a niche thing.
Oh yeah.
Is it Burke?
Frank Burke, yeah. Dinosaur
Frank, yeah.
Rocketry. Yeah. He was out of Oregon. He won't ship them because they're fragile. My dad wants one really bad. I was going to buy one for him at NXRS. I'd still like to get him one at some point. My dad big into RC planes as well. I mean, I guess I can't say my dad is. I am too, but
it's like Frank Burke and then all the R Rocketry people trying to fly. Those are everyone flying the H-13s.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Or in the glider niche, the dude with the ME-163s, the Comet that flies Argonia every year.
Yeah, but they just use regular like I-161s in those.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like a pretty crazy.
Oh yeah,
glider.
it's legit. Yeah.
Then one of them got crashed this year, right? He crashed into a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny. To
I
be
wasn't
honest,
filming.
from a bystander point of view, but
yeah, that H-13 stuff is like all those guys doing like super crazy high performance stuff with motors like that they're on a different level too. That's the niche of having enough patience to build a tiny electronics bay.
yeah, they're really kind of getting off on the complexity of how tiny everything is, which is just like a bad dream for me. Like it's like a nightmare it's on the same level of like you're running from the fire and can't get away.
Dude,
It's like purposely trying to build a 29 millimeter minimum diameter and cram everything into like half of the nose cone. That's like, no.
I almost canceled my JB Weld flight because I had to build a 38 millimeter electronics bay. I was like, I said I was never going to do this again. The additive, yeah.
Just get the featherweight one, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. If I ever do it again, which I have zero intention to do so, 54 is already too small for me. So those guys are out of their minds. Or like the people that used to do like the Green Monkey 18 millimeter research motor flights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Get out of here, dude. You're crazy.
Well,
remember the Black Hawk 24?
Yeah.
The minimum diameter rocket basically specifically designed for the CTI Pro 24 stuff. A 1-inch electronics bay. Get out of here.
Yeah, someone gave me a Pro 24 6-grain case because they're like, I don't know, I impulse bought this and then realized like this is a kind of a dumb motor. They're like, do you want it? I was like, not really, but I mean, I'll take it.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. I can't. So yeah, tiny stuff like that, or like even crazier. Do you remember Micromeister on the Rocketry forum?
Yeah.
He used to build Micromax motor mounts for mosquitoes, so you could fly them on what is that, like 9?
There was a bunch of people in the old NAR club I used to fly with sometimes when I was a kid that did do that, because in their opinion the minimum diameter mosquito was crazy. So they're like, it needs that.
I think, to be fair and to credit them, is because they wanted them back. That's the problem with the mosquito, the old price of it or whatever it costs now, because they sell them again. But that was like my fascination, was having a real vintage mosquito for some reason. When I was like 10, I found somebody on Ye Olde Rocketry forum that sent me one, and I flew it on a quarter A, and then I got it back, and I flew it on an A, and somehow we got it back, and I never flew it again.
Yeah.
But like, I understand the attachment, even though it's a tiny, really cheap kit, like the desire not to lose it. It's almost like a challenge in its own to like fly a mosquito on an A motor and have it come back.
We, of course, had a mosquito, and I think we had trouble locally at the time sourcing any like 13 millimeter A motor that wasn't the A10 or we just didn't have any. So we're like, let's use that. And
Goodbye.
it just teleported.
Yeah. Dude, it's so funny because
They just really just disappear.
they like on the way up, you're following the tracking smoke, and you just like have this optimism. You're like, I still see it, and then the ejection charge just launches the rocket into a
Part of the
pit.
problem is you can't track it when the ejection charge goes off.
Yeah, it
I
just
think it would
disappeared.
be easier if you, because it just yeets it.
Yeah, whatever direction is pointing, it's like more
It's-
aggressive than the acceleration on takeoff.
It would be easy. It's easier to track the motor that it kicks out
Yeah.
than the actual rocket.
Yeah, Newton's third law works fiercely against you when you fly a Mosquito.
There was also some people that were like, well, you can't, I don't know, some real gnar stuff where like you can't have the motor case come down on its own. So they would like put a little streamer attached to the motor.
Mm.
And then I think there was some people that tried to do like a streamer inside the Mosquito and still have it like rear eject. Somehow that would come out.
Yeah, I remember a lot of that happening. And actually, speaking of gnar stuff, another niche that you'll never, ever see me going down is like the really grotesque scale stuff. Like they have like
Oh, yeah.
scale modeling competitions, and people will glue 850 toothpicks to a Saturn V to make it like properly. It's so crazy, dude.
They also make that ridge paper
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah. Dr. Zooch was like a real big thing amongst those people. I think my dad has a Dr. Zooch Saturn 1B actually. It's so crazy. Oh, and parachute duration contests.
Yeah.
There's not one thing about that concept. It is exactly what it sounds like if you're not familiar. It's like a certain motor, and then you keep the rocket in the air for as long as possible. You're signing up to have your rocket land far away. No shot. Dude, I want no part
Although,
of this.
being there during the era for the high power bowling ball loft parachute duration was kind of cool
Okay,
because they were doing like H999s and the rockets would go like 300 feet and then they'd deploy like a 15-foot parachute.
dude, Derek DeVille did a Cosin L3000 bowling ball rocket. His
That wasn't duration though. That's when they were doing altitude.
yeah. Well, here's the thing.
Which altitude bowling ball loft is crazy.
You say that, but I have a strong opinion about that, right? My V2's nose cone weighs more than a light bowling ball. It weighs like 12 pounds. With the electronics bay, it weighs like 18, which is more than any bowling ball. If I take that rocket up to rocket launch and somebody asks me how much the nose weighs, and I say 18 pounds because it's a V2, they're like, yeah, that makes sense. It's a V2. Why is that less dangerous than having a bowling ball under its own parachute?
because they separate it a lot, and a bowling ball by itself is not really visible.
Yeah, okay, well, I mean, if that's the case, clearly I see the issue with it, right? But like, if the bowling ball has to be part of the rocket or has to have recovery gear, in that case, how did so many people have that problem? You just run a bolt right through the center of it.
I think it's because bowling balls don't come with an attachment for a shot cord. I think that's was the main problem, and people would improvise, and there were lots of failures.
I could see that. Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is like throwing on a drill press like you're going to drill any bowling ball, and you punch a hole right through it and put like a 3/4 inch bolt and then parachute and you're good.
The people that left the bowling ball attached to the rest of the rocket like it's a normal rocket kind of, those I think worked better. Like when they put a coupler on the bowling ball, the ones where it just like where the bowling ball would come down separate or like it unintentionally separated because they tried to just put a screw eye directly in it and then it just pulled out,
right?
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be really fun for that to make a comeback to some extent, but like there would have to be some pretty thorough inspections on how the bowling ball recovery. I think a lot of it probably is that a lot of people that were doing that didn't really have experience with recovering heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But coming from people like us who've flown a 200-pound rocket, like 16 pounds isn't that scary. We could we could make that safe. But I feel like a lot of people couldn't or would try not understanding the forces involved.
Yeah, the other problem is like, well, on your V2, that's like your main, so it's like coming down kind of controlled. You're deploying your 16-pound bowling ball at apogee, possibly going really fast, is like the big problem.
Yeah.
But if you use like a deployment bag, it would be fine. Like like if you, but it's just easy for it to kind of go south.
Yeah, I guess
it would be cool to do it again. I mean,
I think really a big problem, not so much like a lot of people are like, can you believe we used to do that? And I'm like, yeah, because obviously my argument here is that things that weigh way more than bowling balls get flown every day. I think a big part of it is the looks you get when somebody from outside of Rocketry hears that you're launching bowling balls in the air. Like that, I can see how it just looks really, really bad as a convincing argument that the hobby is unsafe generally, and that's like the first place people would go. Like, yeah, I was there and there's just bowling balls falling out of the sky. This is totally not safe.
What's funny is we're at a point now where if we decided we were gonna bring back the bowling ball loft, I think a lot of people are not familiar that happened now.
They'd be like, what are you talking
kind of a
about?
long time.
Yeah. Dude,
no
like, way.
What? You can't fly bowling balls.
Bryce did at LDRS in Bonneville.
Yeah.
Two of them.
Yeah. I mean, that's just that rocket's nose weight, though, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Because without those
nose weight, it probably doesn't need.
Well, I was going to say without those bowling balls, it might be more of a problem than having them up there. I think it definitely needs some nose weight, right?
Yeah, it has to have some, but I'm maybe convinced that it's more than it needs.
Well, it was if I recall correctly, it was 22 pounds because it was a 16 and an 8 or 24 pounds. I don't think it was 216s when Bryce flew it, but I think that was an option.
Okay.
It's like removable. You can swap out your bowling ball weights. But yeah, it's a lot of nose weight for sure, but it also is a short rocket with a ton of motor weight in the back. And like 35 pounds of fiberglass on the fins.
Yeah, that's the part where I'm like, I don't know, it may need that much.
Yeah.
But then I'm also like, did we do the account for the base drag?
That's true. Might not have. All right. Well,
like when people put 5 pounds of nose weight in their Warlock.
Yeah. Or don't put nose weight in their mini mag, even though it needs just a little bit.
It needs just the tiniest amount.
PSA: if you have a mini mag, shout out to our friend Jonathan.
Like 3 ounces in.
Yeah, 3 ounces of nose weight. Just keep it safe. But he did it. He built the Bang mini mag. Now Postard and I need mini mags.
Yeah.
I need to build the Rain
fix mine for sure.
Watermelon Warlord. Maybe I should hit them up.
I couldn't believe that.
I know.
I couldn't believe that when I saw that he built that.
He really went for it. You got to respect that kid. He doesn't just talk about it. He bees about it.
He's all in.
Yeah.
He's all in.
But
shout out to Jonathan. I don't remember his last name.
Gabriel.
But
I'm surprised I didn't see a question from him pop up because he and his mom are on my Patreon. So shout out to all of the Patreon Rocky Vlog supporters. That is actually where those questions just came from. So I think that pretty much wraps up the podcast number 5 mailbag. And that means it pretty much wraps up the podcast. So my name is Braden. You can check me out on YouTube at Rocket Vlogs and patreon.com/Rocket Vlogs if you want to help support the channel, keep all the content flowing. And I'm going to kick it over to my co-hosts here to get their plugs on.
My name is Taylor. You can catch me on the Rocket channel on YouTube. Expect a video later this week. I'm calling it out. So
this podcast is going to come out before later this week, or after. I mean, this is going out on Monday.
Well, I'll have one then too. So
basically, if there's not a video out by the time you're hearing this, Taylor lied. If there is, go watch his video.
And my name is Shane. You can find me on YouTube at Postart Propulsions. I'll be straightforward with it. Don't expect a video. right now.
Just put your video up. You have a video. Just edit it and upload it. My God. All right. I need everybody's help bullying Pause Tart, but thank you guys so much. This is the Anti-Gravity Group podcast, and we will see you next week.